Okay, so we have an injury update regarding Graham Mertz, starting quarterback Graham Mertz, and running back Montrell Johnson. Both gentlemen were hurt during the loss to Tennessee on Saturday. Very disappointing, more so than the actual loss itself, because both of these guys came back to Florida to help the team build upon 2024 and beyond after a disappointing season last year, in which Graham Mertz got hurt in the Missouri game, and that potentially what cost Florida a bowl game. Because I think if Graham Mertz would have played against Florida State, I think they would have. In talking about last year in the season finale, I do think Florida would have won that game. Graham Mertz got tore his ACL in his right knee, and it wasn't that he got planted; it's just he landed wrong. He was moving out of the way of a Tennessee defender when he threw the touchdown pass to Elvis Boardingham, and then he just took a wrong step and bam, his knee went out. And that was, I believe that was after Montrell Johnson got hurt. Yeah, because I think they both got hurt on the same drive. Montrell Johnson got hurt. He was running hard and he got tackled. Not a horse collar tackle, or what they call in the NFL a hip drop tackle, but he just got rolled up on leg wise and it caused him to hurt his ankle. But it looks like his is more optimistic than Mertz. Mertz is obviously out for the rest of the season. Montrell Johnson, per Billy Napier, is expected to be back in some time before the season is over. And I actually am not surprised by that, because if you go back to that game when Montrell Johnson was on the sideline, he was moving he was moving in a way that he was testing out that ankle. So he was kind of like testing to see if his ankle was going to be uh, good to go for him to go back into the game. So if that was the case, I'm thinking, all right, maybe in the moment after the initial moments after the injury, it was searing pain, may have been searing pain, but it seemed like he recovered from it very good, and especially enough to where Napier is saying that you should expect him back soon. Now, I don't expect him to play against Kentucky. I don't expect that. There is a possibility he may return for the Georgia game in 2 weeks after Florida has their bye week. Um, but what I will say is just first I want to say thank you again to Mertz and Montrell for their contributions to Florida, for what they've tried to do the last 2 seasons for Mertz, the last 3 seasons for Montrell, because he entered the program in 2022 in Billy Napier's first year, and for the most part he's been a good player. I mean, I I've never thought he was truly Florida's number one running back. I didn't think he was better than Trevor Etienne, which is no slight. I mean, Trevor Etienne's a very good running back, but just because you're not better than Trevor Etienne means that you're a bad running back. And this year, think you could maybe make an argument that Jaden Ball, the freshman, who was originally an Arkansas commit, and a guy that Nick Saban was trying to pursue even before he retired at Alabama, it seemed like to me, um, Jaden Ball just has like another dimension to his game that Montrell Johnson does not have in terms of how his running style. Like Jaden Ball seems to have more wiggle, seems to have a little bit more of another gear at his size, because Montrell Johnson's a bruising running back, but he's not as big as Jaden, and he doesn't have that lateral quickness that Jaden has. So I think, and plus, I don't think he has good ball carrier vision as Jaden. So I'm not saying that we're good without Montrell Johnson, because if he can come back for the season, I hope so. Because I think Florida's chances of winning football games are just better with Montrell than without. But for the running back position, Florida's running backs have been pretty good. I mean, Trayon Webb is on the injury right now. I don't know when he's projected to return, but with Jacoby Jackson stepping up and Jaden Ball stepping up, and if Trayon Webb can come back for the Kentucky game, I think there's a good chance. Also Cameron Carroll, I completely forgot about him. The transfer from Tulane last year, who tore his ACL before the season started, so I gave him another year of eligibility. He was the guy that you saw on the sidelines talking to Graham Mertz after Mertz found out and he was on the crutches. And Cameron Carroll was trying to, console Mertz and tell him, hey man, I was in your shoes last year and I was able to come back. So obviously Karen Carroll has some empathy towards Mertz with what he's going through right now, and maybe he could possibly, um, could play in the Kentucky game as well, because he hasn't taken any snaps this year. So he's probably the freshest running back out of anybody on that entire roster, and with two solid running backs ahead of him and Jaden Ball and Jacoby Jackson and Trayon Webb if he comes back off of injury, he's not going to be in a, he doesn't need to be in a workhorse role. So, and with Graham Mertz, obviously DJ Lagway is going to be thrusted into the starting matchup. And I don't want to get too deep involved in what it could be for Florida's, offense, because I kind of want to save that for the preview video that I'm going to do on the Kentucky and Florida matchup. But obviously, GJ Lagway is going to get some real, live action here with the season coming up, with the rest of the schedule coming up. Got Kentucky this week, and then Georgia in 2 weeks, and then Texas and LSU and Ole Miss and Florida State. Now, Florida State obviously has fallen off worse than some of their biggest critics, myself included, have expected. I said I knew Florida State was going to fall off because of all the talent that they lost to the NFL and remaining players that left through the transfer portal. But not even I expected Florida State to fall this bad. I said that they were going to go 7-5. Well, they're going to play the Duke Blue Devils this upcoming Friday, and they're already at 5 losses, at 1-5. And they're hitting the hardest part of their schedule right now with Duke, a 5-1 team, Miami undefeated, their biggest rival coming up. Get a little bit of a layoff with North Carolina, but North Carolina can put up some points. It's just that their defense is bad. And then they're on the road at Notre Dame, who is starting to get into another gear right now, because last Saturday, Marcus Freeman did what he rarely does at Notre Dame as the coach, and that's play up to his level and blow out bad teams like he's supposed to, because they just absolutely mollywopped Stanford. I think that score is 40-7. So Florida State's having a bad year. As bad of a year Florida's having, it's a hell of a lot better than anything Florida State's doing this year. Florida's, with all the mistakes Florida made in the Tennessee game, they still looked better in that loss than Florida State did in their only victory against Cal. But I'm not going to get off topic there. DJ Lagway is going to be starting in the SEC action against Kentucky, and it's going to be real intriguing and interesting for Florida fans. I'm going to have my eyeballs glued on that screen because I really want to see how he is going to perform now that he knows SEC teams are game planning for him and him only, not having to account for Graham Mertz and when he's coming in and out of the lineup. It's DJ Lagway's team for the rest of this year. I hope he can stay healthy, and so that way, not only because Florida could have a chance to make a bowl game, which that Tennessee loss hurts them, because now they're still stuck at 3 wins and they're about to hit the hardest part of the schedule. If you had won that Tennessee game like you were supposed to, and you potentially win this Kentucky game, you're heading into that bye week 5-2. And that was the situation you were in last year when you were heading into that bye week before the Georgia game, and you were at 5-2. And 5-2 for Florida would have been a phenomenal record start, considering a lot of people, based off of Florida's schedule back in, I'm talking about the schedule for this year, back in the preseason in the spring and the summer, had Florida winning, some had winning 3 games in total. So anyways, that's really all I wanted to talk about, the injury updates for Mertz and Montreal and how it can affect the team moving forward. So that's really about it. Best of luck to both of these guys. I wish them both a speedy recovery.